Hi guys, welcome to the Global Stampin Video Hop. I'm really excited to join in this month. It's been a while since I have joined in because it's been busy. But I'm excited to join in, and this month we are featuring a really cool technique that I love doing, and it's the Emboss Resist technique. So I was so keen to join in, and I decided to feature a bundle that I have been really loving to play with. And when I saw that it was this technique, I wanted to play with this bundle because I just immediately thought of it. And that was for a couple reasons. It's the Reach for the Stars bundle, but I thought of this new background stamp as well. And it's called It's in the Stars. And it just matches so beautifully with the Reach for the Stars bundle, which the bundle is because it also has these beautiful dies. And don't mind my dies, I've literally just thrown them onto the magnet sheet. This is what happens when I'm in a creative zone. Everything gets really messy, but the background stamp just matches so well. And I thought of the Emboss Resist technique because it would look so beautiful embossed and then using blending brushes over the top. So that's what I wanted to show in my card today. And I haven't actually used, oh no, I have used quite a few. I've used the little stamps and the sentiments, but not the big dudes in this one. So that's what I'm using today. And the Emboss Resist technique is basically when you emboss and then color over the top. So when you use the powder and you melt it, it actually creates a surface that will resist ink. And when I was making the card, I actually realized that I was using 3 colors of embossing ink, embossing powder, sorry. So when you buy embossing powder from Stampin Up, it used to be sold individually, but now it isn't. So it actually comes, I don't know if I have a pack of 3 handy, but it actually comes like this. So it comes in 3. So just imagine there's a third one in there. Now this is the metallics. So this is the copper, silver, and normally there would be gold. So in the basics, there is white, black, and clear. So when I made this card today, I actually realized that I used the entire basics collection. So I have used white for my background, clear on my planets, and black. So I've really shown you how to use the basics embossing powder collection because I went to town with it. And I'm showing you a couple of different ways to do the Emboss Resist. And then I have made my inside pretty, and I love decorating an envelope too. So by the way, I get asked a lot about my happy mail, and I do that a lot on my envelopes because I send them out as rack cards. My happy mail is not Stampin' Up. It's just a random stamp that I chuck on my envelopes quite a bit because they quite often go out as happy mail. And I have my envelopes there when I make a card and they're ready to go. But look how cool this holographic foil is, by the way. Okay, so let's get started because I will talk for ages and I'm best to just talk through the techniques as I do them. So I'll get started. So I've cut my supplies ready. I just didn't die cut one piece because I want to talk about it as I do it. So I've got my planets all pre-die cut, but I'll talk about them in a minute. And I've got some scraps here. So I'm using a card base with basic black. I ummed and ahed about the basic black, but I went with it in the end. And then I've got some layers here for the insides. I've got my trusty old fave, which is lemon lime twist with some basic white. And for the outside, I'm doing some lemon lime twist and basic white, which I've gone with a different layer size. So I've been enjoying doing a bit smaller, some smaller layers for my card fronts lately. So if you are a metric crafter, this is 8.7 by 13.1 centimeters, which is for the larger layer is 8.9 by 13.3 for the larger mat. Okay, so we're going to start with our piece here because we want to do this really cool starry sky here, which apparently, by the way, I think I learnt this off or heard this off Melody Hyde, is actually the star signs, I'm pretty sure, is actually featured in that stamp. Okay, so I'm going to bring in something naughty because I know that we don't sell this anymore, but I will talk about the alternative. So I know we don't sell the Stamparatus anymore, but it just really is easy for me to use. But the alternative is if you don't have a stamp positioning tool, our background stamps are designed to fit, and don't mind my dirty block, they're designed to fit on the F block. So they will fit beautifully on the F block. You can ink that up and stamp it down onto, or actually easier, put it onto the F block, ink it up, and then run a acrylic block over the top, which I think I showed on a recent blog post. But I'm just going to use this because I find it easier. And, you know, I'm not going to give up my faves. Okay, I'm just going to prepare my piece with some magical this thing. If you don't have it, you need it. It comes in our Embossing Editions toolkit, which I will show in a jiffy. Now I'm just going to line that up. Yep, that's the right spot. Okay, I can't use the magnet because I need the whole piece. So when we're heat embossing, we want to use our beautiful Versamark ink, which is a great embossing ink because it will stay wet for longer and allow that embossing powder to stick to it. So I'm just giving my stamp a really good ink with that. And then I want to stamp that down. Now I do have one of these nifty tools, which I got from, I always forget the store name. It's an Australian lady too, and she makes these really nifty tools on a, what do you call those things? 3D printers. And it's really handy for doing things like this. So I just give that a really good press down. Make sure that's all. You can even do this if you're using the block, I reckon. Okay, so that should be all good. Now, you probably won't be able to tell, maybe you can, just slightly, that that's inked up. Now I can put that to the side. Now what I'm going to do is bring in my embossing powder. So I keep mine in tubs. And what you can see here is this is the proof that I'm using all three colours. But what I want for my background is my white. Now this is the embossing tray, and it comes with all of these doodads. I have to put one away. It comes with all these things. You definitely need this if you like heat embossing, and it's got the cap as well. So we might actually use that. We'll use it. I actually want more than one because it would be handy to have one for different colours of embossing powder. It's handy for big pieces like this, or if you're doing lots of embossing, so repetitive heat embossing. So if you're making bulk cards, you can just tip it back in. So give that a tap like that, and then we will do that in a second. And what you do is you just tip that back into your tub, and what I find handy is I just get this little brush, and then you can just pop that back into there. How easy is that? Super simple. Okay, now we want to heat up our heat tool for a second. What I found actually easiest, I'll just take this off to the side. So I'm going to grab those nifty reversible tweezers to hold my piece because I don't want to burn myself. Now I think that'll be pretty good. Now just, when you're heat embossing, you do not want to overheat because that will actually burn the embossing powder, and you don't want that look. So you just want to do it until it's just melted. I sometimes go from underneath as well. I actually more so go from underneath. I remember the first time I did heat embossing, and they quite often say that heat embossing can make you a card maker or a crafter because it really is magic. The first time you learn or see heat embossing, you really think, wow. I would love to know which one of these is my, what do they call it, astrological star sign or whatever it is. I don't really know. I'm a Sagittarius. I don't know if that's really what, I don't know much about it. So I don't know if you can see on the video the powder melting or not. Okay, I think that's pretty good. You just really want to make sure they're all melted, otherwise when you go over it with a blending brush, it will spread. It won't be nice at all. Okay, so that is that piece done. Then we can give that just a second. If it warps a little bit, you can just give it a bit of a bend. But that's okay. Okay, now what we want to do is take our blending brushes. So I'm going to use a lighter blue and a darker blue. So I'm going to take two different blending brushes there. And I'm going to bring in some different colours of ink. So I've got some Azure Afternoon, Night of Navy, Blueberry Bushel and Starry Sky. Now I might not use all, I might change it up. We'll just see how we go. No two cards ever end up looking the same. So I might just give that a bit of a brush out. Start with some Azure Afternoon. And I'm just going to work that into the middle of my card. So this is what they call the Emboss Resist. So because those stars have got the heat embossing on them, you can see there that they are resisting the colour. So we're not getting the ink onto them. You will get a bit of a blue tinge, but you'll see at the end what I do about that. So I'm really just blending that colour in. So I want my light colour in towards the middle. I'm just tapping off that first bit of ink onto the side there. Now my second lightest ink would be the Blueberry Bushel. And I might go for my darker blending brush for that. And I'm just not going to go right in the middle with that one because I want to keep that light bit in the middle. So I'm just going to work in some sections, add some of that darker colour. So I'm just making my beautiful starry sky. I'm just going to turn that around. I have found that when you blend this colour, it will blend and change a little bit when you leave it. So it's okay if it looks a bit like a hot mess at first. Okay, so that might be all good. And then I'm going to take my Starry Sky. This quickly became one of my favourite colours. I love Starry Sky. And I'm going to go from the very outer edge in. Love Starry Sky so much. It's so deep and beautiful. It's a little bit cold here today, so I've got a cardigan on and it keeps getting in the way. It's like when it's really cold and you wear an hoodie. It's so nice, but it's so impractical for crafting. Isn't that Resist so beautiful with those stars? And this would work so well with pretty much all of our background stamps. The world map, the watercolor world, look gorgeous as well. I really like how it sort of fades in there. So then I'm going to add one last blue, and that's the Night of Navy, because I really want a really dark edge in some places. I'm just going to go in and just really darken up some of that edge. Okay. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So that's all of our blue blending, so you can see that. Then I'm going to do a couple of quick things to that. I'm going to get a blueberry bushel, look at my inky fingers, a blueberry bushel marker, and I'm just going to spritz. So that's when you get your marker with the brush tip end, which is the thicker line, the cap, and what you do is you take it against the cap and give it a really good flick, like against the cap. I've had a lot of people ask me this one, and it's one of my favorite things to do, and I blame it on Dina Ricow. And then I'm going to get this, which I probably should have done before this bit, but I actually did this bit of the card when I'd already decorated it and realized I wanted to do it, and that was a bit silly. But what I'm doing is putting the, what is this called? The tube of this Stampin' spritzer inside the water and just giving it a bit of a spritz. And what this does is those water droplets, because the Stampin' Classic ink is water-based, what it will do is react to water. So if you spritz that a little bit over your background, it will actually draw up the water. So if you can see that, you can see the drops of water, and I just thought that looked really cool. So another thing, I'll just give that a hot minute, and then what we can do, actually it'll only, I'll give it a hot minute. Okay, so I'll put that to the side, and what we can do is the next bit of the heat, the Emboss Resist. So I'm going to take these little planets. So I have cut these out of the circles, which is from the Reach for the Stars die. So the cool thing about these is even if you don't particularly like the space theme, these dies are need to haves because they come with the circle dies. They're amazing. And I'm going to take these couple of stamps here, so just the little bubbles and those little diamonds, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to prep these circles with a bit of this powder. And what this little powder pad does is it's an anti-static little puff. That's not what it's called a pad. But what it does is it helps to remove some of that static. So it preps it ready to go. So what I'm going to do is take those little stamps, and I'm going to take my Versamark pad, and I don't know which ones I put where on the original, but that doesn't matter so much. But I'm going to stamp some patterns over my planets. It's a bit noisy. And this time I'm not using white embossing powder. I'm actually going to use clear. And the reason for that is because I want the colour to still show through. So if I use white, it will actually cover up my colour. So instead of being berry burst, it will show up white. But if I use clear embossing powder, we'll still see that beautiful berry burst. So that's all of my stamping done. Now what I can do is bring back in my beautiful embossing tray, and this time I've got my clear embossing powder, and I'm just going to cover my shapes and just give them a little tap. You can also actually pop them into the embossing powder and give them a tap. That's another way of doing it. I've sort of become very accustomed to this little spoon, which I got, I don't even know when I got that. Now, if you get some that it's gone over, I actually probably need to get myself a smaller paintbrush, but you can just get a paintbrush and take it off if you do get some where you need to take a bit of the powder away. So that one's pretty good. And then, so this just adds a little bit of something to those planets, and you'll see what I'm going to do with those to make them even more dimensional. And this is just another technique to do with your Emboss Resist, which is really fun. Okay, so I'm just going to put that to the side for a second. And I will pick this up and show you, because the clear looks white, but if you can see that, it goes clear as it melts, and you really only want to just melt that. As soon as it goes clear, take that heat gun away, because you do not want to overheat. So as soon as you get that clear look, it's done. Now I'm just gonna, they're quite fiddly to pick up, so I'm just gonna see if I can, quickly do the rest of them. I think that's all good. Okay, so there's our little pieces. Now, I hate leaving embossing powder on my desk. It never goes well. What is in there? A bit of, okay. That's why these trays are so handy. Makes a very quick and tidy cleanup. And I think they're only about $45 here in Australia, so really, really good. Very handy to have. Okay, so while I've got my microfiber cloth handy, actually, I'm going to show another tip. So I've got these little microfiber cloths in my craft room, and you can just chuck them in the washing machine too, so that's even better. Oh, look at that ink. Speaking of a cloth. Okay, so this here, when you add your blending over the top, you may get some residual ink on top. Did you see where I wiped that? It came up a lot more bright white. So what you want to do is just go over the top with a cloth to remove some of that ink that would be sitting on top of that embossing. And that will make sure that your beautiful stars are really shining bright. So just give it a bit of a go over with a cloth and see if you can see that on the cloth. It'll bring up some of that ink. So now you can see it's nice and bright. Okay, so let's do our planets. I promise it's going to come together pretty quickly now. So with our planets, we just want to add a few touches to these. We need a couple more ink colors. I love to use lots of ink when I craft. So we need some Berry Burst. I love my blending brushes. So with our Berry Burst, I'm just going to open that up and grab a blending brush. And we're just going to add some definition to these by just lightly going around the edges. And what this does is just helps them appear a little bit more three-dimensional and not so flat. And then what I'm going to do is to help that even more and to appear a bit more rounded, I'm just going to focus on one side of the planet being a little bit darker. So I'm going to choose a side and then really focus on curving it round. And what that does is shows that the sunlight is not hitting that side of the planet, and it really makes it appear like a sphere rather than just a flat circle. So I really like the look of it. And because we've used that clear embossing powder, it's resisting that ink a little bit. So it's still showing up that lighter Berry Burst cardstock through, so you get the two tones of color. And you can do the same thing with the microfiber cloth and just give that a little, I like to say a buff, but it will move that and show that lighter color, so you get a really cool look. And there is a smaller one too, so I'm just going to do the same thing. Just go around the edges. And we'll just choose one of those sides just to and then we're going to do that with our lemon lime twist planet as well. I don't really want to bring some Berry Burst onto that, so I'm just going to choose a new piece of my grid paper there. I love lemon lime twist. I was so happy that lemon lime twist came back. It made my heart happy. Okay, is that a nice buff? And then we want some pumpkin pie. These are such bright, happy and fun colors. And I have pulled the inspiration for my color choices directly from the Coordinating Designer Series paper from this collection, by the way. So the color inspiration comes from Stampin' Up. They chose the color inspiration for me. I love blending, but it is a messy task. And that is why, people, it is a good idea to carry baby wipes in the craft room, because I've been known to having to add extra rhinestones and extra embellishments on my cards for that reason. You get right to the end and then you touch the beautiful negative space that you really wanted and appreciated on your card, and it's got a nice big ink spot. Okay, so that's mainly the inking done. Apart from, actually, I'll do the last little bit of inking so that I can, actually, no, I won't skip ahead. I do it because it makes sense in my head, but it doesn't make sense in anyone else's. Okay, so then I'm going to, I'll move that because it's very distracting. I will add my glue because we can stick this piece down now. So this beautiful blended piece. Oh, the glue is just going to be disaster. Come out. Okay, don't come out. We'll use our fine line glue. Okay, so we're going to adhere our beautiful night sky piece to some lemon lime twist, because I thought the lemon lime twist really helped it to pop up onto the card, so that looked really nice. And And I'm going to stick that to the card with some Stampin' Dimensionals, because it just looked really nice with a bit of dimension. And you know, Stampin' Dimensionals, they're needed on everything. Now sometimes this works for me, pulling the dimensional backings up with a take your pick tool, and other times it just doesn't. Oh, so far so good. Usually I just pick them off with my fingernails, but oh no, did it work today? Yes it did. Oh no, it's a great tip, but I'm so used to peeling them off by hand. Okay, I need to do what Barry and Jay do and make markings so I know that they've come off. It's a good tip and I keep meaning to do it. Okay, so then we need to put our cool little planet rings onto our planets. So these just go over the top, and I want to take note that my darker bit is here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue underneath. But what I did also to make it appear like they were a little bit more three-dimensional was I grabbed a edging, because you can't actually really see it, and I popped it underneath the little front bit of the ring, so that, oopsie, so that kind of sat up a little bit. So, oh, that's not very even. Just so that it didn't sit flat to the card. I love things looking a little bit 3D. So what I might do is I'll actually cut this one first and stick it. So I'll decide where I want it. Now, do you know what? I think I might need to chop this one down a little bit though. Make it a bit more of a strip. And then, see? Add, and then you probably don't need to really, can you tell this is a scrap? Stick that, but we will anyway. Okay, so that's our pieces. This one's going to be for the inside of the card. So that one, you know, you can stick and prepare it if you want, but that one needs to be flat because I don't like adding too much dimension to the insides of my card. So that one's all prepared and ready there for the inside. This little planet here is going to stick sort of in the middle, but what we want to do is actually get some of this gorgeous, don't you love it when you sit things on your desk and don't know where you sat them? Oh, right in front of you. Okay, so I'm going to, at first I could not decide when I first did this what I was doing, but I am going to make sort of a messy little arrangement here. So what I've done is with my finger, I want to create some loops. So it's hard because I like it to look a little bit organic, but I play with it so much that it ends up not looking organic. And these are the kind of things that I'm really bad at on a live video. So I was fretting before I came live thinking, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this on a live video. So I'm a little bit iffy because I don't, tying bows and doing things like this make me nervous on live videos. Okay, so I'm just gonna go with it. And then what I'm gonna do is grab some tear and tape and kind of use that to guide placing it down. Okay, so I just want like sort of a bit of that fun silver thread. You can see on my original I had some sort of just poking out. I just wanted some sort of fun silver thread. And I thought that that was kind of the coolest product that we had that suited the theme. I haven't used it in a while. Do you know, I've run out of my gold one. I love gold, but this one was kind of neglected in my stash, so it was fun to sort of have a bit of a play with the silver. Okay, so I can start placing these bits down, and then I'll show you what I left to do with you live. So I'm just gonna stick that little pumpkin pie planet down, and that one was just with some liquid glue. And then I want to grab my dimensionals, and I'm going to stick my bigger planet down with dimensionals, and I want to go around the thread and bits because they will sort of have their own dimension to add a little bit. So as long as I'm sort of applying dimension in and around that, it'll be fine. Okay, so let's stick our planet down, and then we'll stick that last planet, which is our lemon lime twist planet. I've had a batch of Stampin' Dimensionals where the backings do not want to come off. It's annoying me. Okay, so then what I want to show you, because I've had people ask, and that's why I saved it to do online, is this beautiful, what I call disco ball paper. Someone asked me whether it die cuts easily, because we had a similar paper in Celebration a little while ago. So I'm going to use these cute little dies here that do the little diamond star shapes, and I wanted to die cut some with you to show you that it does. And I thought, I usually pre-die cut stuff, but it's only the little stars, and I just wanted to show you that it cuts like butter, because I think people were a little bit worried about buying it because the last lot that was similar that we had, people said they had pains die cutting it. So I just thought I'll save this bit and die cut some live. Now I've only run that through once. I'll move those dies aside and look at that. So easy. I just thought I'll do that. Wow, one of those just flew off. Goodness. It's really stuck there. Okay. Now I'm going to stick some to the card. Now where did my glue go? Oh, there it is. So I just want to stick a couple down. Not going to be too fussy with where they go. Says me, who's fussy about where everything goes. I didn't add Wink of Stella to my card. This is criminal. And I've only left 2 big ones. I reckon one of my little ones flew off, and it's probably flown off to like the back of the desk where I cannot reach it. Oh, that's sad. Goodbye. Okay. And I can't have 4. That's just wrong. Or can I have 4? I'm going to have 4 because I want one for the inside. I would never normally keep 4, but it's fine. Okay, so then I'm going to add these tinsel gems 4-pack, because I thought that this beautiful blue was really cute. I don't know if it's Blueberry Bushel. It sort of looks like Blueberry Bushel, but I'm not entirely sure. And I've still got one step to do. I take so long to make a card. But I've been meaning to make this video all day. And it's always on the days that you want to make a video that everyone turns up at your house. Okay, one more step. Let's grab our... This is when the last colour of embossing powder comes in. So let's grab the sentiment, which is so cute. It says, if I had a star, for every time you brighten my day, I'd have an entire galaxy. And I just thought that was so adorable. So there's no emboss resist technique in this embossing powder, but use, but I love heat embossing in black for a sentiment because if you want a real true black, like if you like a real dark black, then heat embossing with black is really good. It'll give you a nice dark black. So that's, if you're really fussy with how dark your black is, I definitely recommend heat embossing with black. We are almost done. I said I'd keep the video under half an hour and we're at 40 minutes. Naughty. I thank you if you're still with me. Okay. There we go. So I'm gonna quickly, probably shouldn't be cutting this when it's just heat embossed. I do recommend when you do heat emboss, always give it a second to dry because you can smudge it. So testing if it's dry too soon, you will get a nice fingerprint in it. And then you'll cry and go, oh, you're kidding, I have to do that again. I am a very impatient person and have done that a lot. So just know from my experience that always give it a minute to dry. And I know that it's fun to have things done quickly, but it's even better to have them done and not have to repeat them. Okay, so I've just trimmed that into strips. I love doing sentiment strips. It's one of my favorite things. And this is a perfect sentiment to do that because they are perfect straight strips to do it with. So I'm just cutting them down into straight strips to do that. I'm going to have 2 of these cards now to send to friends. I can't wait. With matching little envelopes. So cute. So I'm just going to use a little bit of glue on those. Whoopsie. To adhere. Now I usually stick it out to make sure it all is going to fit, but I don't want to take another half an hour. So I'm going to guess and hope this all fits. I'm being risky for you. Okay. Remind me, I've got to add Wink of Stella. You just cannot have a space card without adding a bit of sparkle into that night sky. That just would not be right at all. In fact, I'm going to just pull that there. So I can't wait to see the rest of the Global Stampin Video Hop team's beautiful embossed resist cards. So be sure to check out the next video on the hop, which will be linked below, and check out the rest of the team's videos. And do try some emboss resist techniques. They're a lot of fun. They make beautiful cards and gives it that wow. I'm sure the recipient would just love receiving one of these cards. I really want to, but I'm not going to fuss. I'm not going to fuss. Okay. So I'm going to add a bit of sparkle. So If you have not got one of these pens, you need one. It's full of glitter and I add it to everything. So this really quick, I've got a bit of white and a bit of lemon lime twist, and I'm going to add some Azure Afternoon, to my bottom right hand corner. And I'm just going to blend that in, trying not to rush too much. It's always nice when you do blending and you do it nice and slow and build up the colour. I'm just being a little bit quicker than usual because I am taking quite a while on this video. So I'm just trying to do circular blend motions and blend that in, but it also does look nicer when you've left it a while as well, so it will blend in a bit better. Okay. Then I'm going to take my Blueberry Bushel marker again and give that a bit of a spritz like I did on the outside of the card. And then I'm going to take this, actually I'll stick my little planet down first. So I made one of the little planets for the inside of the card as well. I love to repeat elements that were on the outside of the card on the inside because I think it really helps to finish the card. Now I was going to add 2 of these, but I did lose one, so just one for the inside. And now I have a sentiment from the stamp set that says "You're stellar." So I thought that was a little bit cute. So they had a star for every time you brighten my day, I'd have an entire galaxy, and then it says "You're stellar." And then that one can be adhered to the layer of lemon lime twist. And this, like here, is when I get ink on it. So you can see what I'm doing. It's when I've got inky fingers. So I'm a bit scared to press down. I need my baby wipe now. What I might do is add that so it looks like it's on purpose. I'm very, very messy at the moment. Okay, so then I will move that out of the way. That ink that you do spritz is also a little bit wet, so that will spread as well with your fingers if you're not careful, so just be careful of that as well. Okay, so then we can adhere that to the inside of the card, so we'll just be careful of that ink. And that's the inside done. So that's using that fun Emboss Resist technique with the white on the front of the card, and also that clear Emboss Resist technique, so on the planets, which lets that original colour show through. Yeah, so 2 real fun different colours with the Emboss Resist, and using the entire Basics embossing collection, so definitely a fun one to add to your collection. I hope you enjoyed a look at how to make this fun card today, and be sure to check out the rest of the team's adorable projects this month. I hope you had fun, and we shall see you again soon.